All right, we should be all good to go and all live and everything. Let me just tweet this out. Free to drop. I mean, for the 14 of you guys here, thank you for being here and stuff. Feel free to drop any comments or anything that you want me to talk about in the chat because I need to. Yeah, that's what I figured. I need to update the projections real fast for the truck series with Pearce going to the rear. I've been dicking around with the cup practice stuff for a while, and I had to fix something on the Xfinity series sheet. So I haven't updated the projections yet. It's not going to be like drastic changes and stuff. I'm just taking away most of the laps led points that I was giving Pearce and stuff. And then, we'll allow time for people to get in here and everything like that. Sure, why not? Fucking don't care. Okay, I got that out. Let me finish updating this stuff here. And let me just update my stuff real fast. And then I will upload that to Patreon. I didn't want to push the start time back of the live show because normally this is what I do. Like today, I probably would have pushed it back like 5 minutes and stuff, but people have been very angry lately when I push the start time back by like 5 or 4 minutes or whatever. And so that's why I went live here. So let me just finish doing this. Update him. I'm not changing around a lot of people. What am I even Pearce now? Okay, let me update this. And I mainly want to get this out of the way just so I don't have to worry about it. And then I can really start talking about stuff. Okay. That's there. Remove the projections. Sorry, I'm kind of killing time right now. I'm not being very talkative. But let me get this done. All right, let me get that. And upload this to Patreon. Man, shout out to, we're going to start dunking on people. Shout out to FSI today for one of the worst shows I think I've ever watched. They were unaware that the truck series got rained out for practice or for qualifying. So that was hilarious to listen to. All right. So if you're part of the Patreon and stuff, I've updated the truck series stuff. Not like gigantic changes. Like I said, it's mainly just me knocking down Pearce a little. But I'm sure that'll be live on your end in probably like 30 seconds or something like that. I learned for whatever reason, Patreon, at least on my end, I don't know. Whenever I update stuff, it takes like a minute or so to go through. Like it's not an instant like change for whatever reason on Patreon. I'm not sure why. And for all right, cool. All right. Sorry, I've taken so long to get to the chat. I wanted to get that squared away here. Hey man, what's going on, AD? Also, yet again, man, this is another thing. So I know I complain about it a lot. I'm ordering the new computer. I've just been busy, been running around like crazy. Like the camera focus right now, like the way, like I have never set it up to be zoomed in like this much. But I logged into StreamYard like 30 seconds before I go live. I don't have time to change it. Typically, I like to be zoomed out more and show more in my room. I feel like I'm like way too close. And I got the camera like way over there. My hands like I'm right here. At least it looks in HD. Let me go ahead here. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. So okay, so with Jack, so for the trucks in general, even before, let me make sure when the stuff goes live because I do need to update my. Gonna have to update my lineup. After qualifying got rained out, I figured it would be pretty much like a place differential race anyway, and I typically don't enjoy building lines for that, so I ended up actually making one line. I'll tell you the line right now because I don't believe that. Well, I'll say the line eventually because one, I'm not going to use it. Two, I think this race is very limited in terms of who you can use. Like for example, we have look clearly Nemechek is going to be a good play, but when we get to Ty Majeski, Corey Heim, Matt Crafton, Hocevar, and Enfinger, so it's Majeski, Corey, Matt, Hocevar, and Enfinger. These five guys here, depending on what happens with fast laps and laps led, 4 of those 5 guys can be optimal. I think the optimal has 3 of them. I really, really do. I think Corey is a fantastic play. I think he'll gain ownership now because if people had a lot of lineups, they're probably not going to want to build from scratch and they're going to take Ryan Preece off and play Corey just because Corey's cheaper. They'll just do a 1-for-1 trade. That's a bit unfortunate because I really, really liked Corey. And I think he's going to get a slight bump in ownership. And the reason why I like Corey is because of the fact that let me move. I got every tab. I got truck. I got cup. I got where are we at? When we look at how Corey has ran this year in the truck series and this car specifically, at the tracks that I want to care about. We got to remember that it has been a while since the Truck Series has been replaced. By the way, 2070, you guys watch. Thank you very much. It has been a very long time since we have been to an intermediate track. That was Kansas, high wear, multiple grooves, a place that is very similar to Homestead. We go back even farther. Nashville was the last intermediate track before Kansas, and at this point, we are going back weeks and weeks. I think like 2-3 months. I don't remember exactly when Nashville was. Correct date that is. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's been 7 races since Nashville. In terms of weeks, I think that's around 13 weeks. And so when we look at Corey specifically and how he's ran at other intermediates this year, like even the first Kansas race, 6th fastest car, Texas 9th fastest car. That would be concerning, but we did see improvement. 8th fastest car at Nashville, and then the 5th best car at Kansas. And this was typically when Corey, yes, he was cheaper, but he was starting up front. I think if we would have had qualifying, Corey would have probably qualified around 5th or 6th, and that would have completely removed him because I don't see him leading laps and getting fast laps. However, in a situation where I think people are going to follow Ty Majeski and really try and chase Ty Majeski because, yes, he had the 4th best car at Kansas. He had the 5th best car at Nashville. I like the slight discount from Ty Majeski to Corey Heim. I know that $200 might not seem like a lot, but when we have so many crappy value plays in the 5K range, I think that's pretty huge. And so Corey's probably my favorite play back here. The reason why I'm not focusing on Crafton is because I think Crafton's going to be pure chalk. And that's not me saying, don't play him just because he's chalk. But I think you can very easily get off him and focus on Grant Enfinger and even Hocevar. and Crafton is probably the one guy personally that I would kind of want to be underweight on in this sense, because yes, Matt Crafton has had a ton of experience here, and as I talked about, this field is pretty new when it comes to Homestead. A lot of these guys have never raced here. We didn't have a ton of issues in practice, but we see a huge discrepancy in terms of speed and where these guys are going to run. I also want to reiterate that practice speed was greatly determined on what line you got the driver was running. Okay, so if you're running the top side, you're clearly going to run faster laps, and you're realizing that that's where the race is going to be won and where passes are going to be made, like where you are going to be in terms of speed. However, a lot of teams, not just in the truck series, but for the Xfinity series, was running the bottom lane because they didn't feel the need to want to be pushing the top side. Specifically, in Xfinity, I know this is kind of a combination of the show, but specifically in Xfinity, a lot of guys were concerned about running the top in practice just because it had just rained and they lost all the rubber that the truck series had put on. So when we're looking at the truck series practice times, a lot of these don't really scare me. And we can see the people who were really concerned about not making the field, like Tyler Hill had to qualify in, absolutely running blistering laps. He's not going to run those laps in the race, but he was running basically Q trim laps because he, Clay Greenfield, Poole, I forgot who the other one is right top of my head, had to qualify in because we went to the metric. Greenfield didn't qualify. But when we look at these lap times here, yes, Crafton is the fourth best on average. When we look at him in terms of the fourth best laps that he ran compared to the rest of the field, we see him as the third best driver here. I don't think Enfinger is going to be able to replicate that third fastest. I think Enfinger probably finishes around eighth or seventh today due to the fact that due to the fact that Crafton is starting in the back of the field, not the back of the field, like the middle of the field. He has a lot. His main issue. Crafton's starting 20th. He's going to have Majeski directly in front of him. So he is not going to get around Majeski. Okay. He is not going to get around Nemechek. There's going to be a ton of slow cars in front of him. I currently have Crafton projected 47 points today. That's a 5.4 value. In terms of building lines, in terms of the reason why I didn't end up on Matt Crafton a ton is because I don't like the 5K range at all. Like I don't like I got Blaine Perkins for 24 points. I'm pretty sure that he's probably the best point per dollar range, like from like 54 down. But I don't like Dean Thompson. I'm not playing Dean Thompson. I'm not playing Lawless Al. I'm not playing Stephen Parsons. I'm not playing Chad Chastity. I'm not playing Max. I'm not playing Nick. And so we get to a situation where we're really splitting hairs between what we're doing with the rest of the lineup. That's why I want to reiterate. I think Majeski, Corey, Crafton, Hocevar, Enfinger, I think realistically 3 of those 5 are optimal. There's a chance that 4 of those 5 are optimal depending on what happens up top with lap leaders. Like if with Pearce being taken out from the starting position, it eliminates him getting those fast laps, and so we can eliminate Pearce from the pool of being optimal. I just don't think Pearce is optimal at this point, not due to the fact that he can't get back up there, but due to the fact that the race is only 134 laps. I was giving Pearce like 30 laps led, around 27 fast laps. We can pretty much eliminate those. I currently have Pearce now projected for 4 laps led and 10 fast laps, finishing around third. So I don't think that happens. Ben Rhodes, DeBenedetto isn't going to stay up there. We'll see DeBenedetto fall down to around 10th. He doesn't have the speed to stay up there. Even if he beats even if he beats Rhodes in turn 1, I don't see him staying up there. I don't see Rhodes staying up there and run away with the race. Yes, maybe Rhodes can lead like 10, 12, 15 laps, but him getting fast laps, I don't see it happening. I think that'll be distributed between, specifically during the first stage, I think those will be distributed between the place differential guys in the high 20s, Nemechek, and even Chandler Eckes and Zane Smith. And so Ben Rhodes, really his only way of getting points is getting laps led. And I don't think he's going to lead more than like 15, 16, 17 laps realistically. So at that point, I'm eliminating Pearce, Rhodes, and DeBenedetto from my pool. This is where I'm at. I don't know what I'm going to do with my line. So this is my current line. Like I said, I'm not playing it. Typically, I don't share lines or talk lines, but I think this build is, I don't know what I can do differently. Because I originally had Nemechek, Ryan Pearce, Corey Heim, Enfinger, Spencer Boyd, and Poole as the line I wanted to go with. As I said in the video on Thursday, there's not only before we had the qualifying the way it is, there was a real chance that this race can get stupid, that we're going to have wrecks just because a lot of these people have never been in this race, never been on this track in race conditions. And so I originally viewed the guys starting near the back of the field from like 32nd to 36 to be very live today, to be able to just, they can go laps down and just survive the carnage and be there. That's specifically why I ended up going to Poole and Spencer Boyd, and these guys are at the very bottom of the salary cap. And so for me, with this type of build, because I have Boyd at 47, I got Poole at 45, I really have no leeway in that. Those are the only two guys in the 4K range that I want to deal with, and I would prefer to play them over the people in the 5K range. I think Tyler Hill is a bit too expensive to work out. I got him currently projected for 25 points right now. So I don't necessarily want to go there. I would honestly prefer to stay on Boyd and Poole. The fact that I have to get off of Pearce, I think what a lot of people are going to do is go to Majeski or go to Corey, because he's directly cheaper than Pearce. People don't feel like they have to rebuild our lines and stuff, and we don't have to get that crazy because the contest is only 3,500 people. I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't know if Majeski can get the amount of laps led and the amount of fast laps that I want to. Okay, right now I have Majeski, and the reason why I'm kind of being so open with projections here is because we're kind of all dealing with the same thing. The Truck Series is very much a lineup construction type of slate now, because it's leaning to a lot of it being place differential. So I currently have Majeski for 2 laps led, 6 fast laps in this race. I don't think that's insane. I don't think it's bad at all. And when we look at when we really do have to split hairs, when we look at how Majeski ran at Kansas, 4th best car at Kansas, 5th best car at Nashville. Let me go ahead and look at how many fast laps and laps led he had in those races real fast, because I think now it's a bit open to maybe he can possibly scrape some fast ones off now that Pearce, because I really did think Pearce was going to kind of be stealing them early in the race. I think it's kind of a real heads up play of what happens now. Let me go ahead and get the optimals for the Truck Series up really fast. By the way, thank you guys very much for being here and spending your Saturday with me and not watching college football and anything like that. I do appreciate it. So when we look at the optimals for the Truck Series and where the fast laps and everything went, how many people? 30 people here. Thank you very much. I want to specifically look at how many fast laps Ty Majeski got at Nashville and at Kansas too. I don't necessarily want to look at Kansas 1. I think the teams have learned a lot since then. But when we look at Nashville, Ty Majeski got 1.3 fast lap points, which when I look at I'm giving him 6 laps, so that's 2.7, right in the same ballpark for that. When we look at Kansas 2, Ty Majeski ended up getting 6.7 fast laps, okay? And he ended up starting... Ty Majeski ended up starting second in that race, okay? So I think from what we're seeing here in Nashville and Kansas, in a much friendlier environment for Ty Majeski to get fast laps, he still didn't get a ton of fast laps, okay? And so the reason I'm talking about this build so much is because I don't necessarily want to get on Majeski, okay? And so for me, and why I shared that line, the line that I had originally, is because I'm going to have to change probably 2 drivers here. It's not going to just be a 1-for-1 trade. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do here, because now this lends to us possibly land on Tanner Gray, possibly landing on Hocevar and Crafton some more. I think those guys kind of just gain more ownership, because if this really does become a place differential race, which I think it will, we're going to have a lot of people scoring in the 50s in this race, or high 40s, okay? And a lot of those plays are going to be the 8K guys that have place differential, so that's and Infinger at 9K, but that's mainly Crafton, Hocevar, Infinger, these types of guys, and probably John Hernimacek is probably your highest scoring driver in this race. Zane Smith, God damn it! This is why I didn't like Pearce going, because it makes this race way chalkier. Because I personally either have to get off of Corey or Infinger, okay, and then getting off of them means that I'm probably going to have to go to either Hocevar or Crafton. I would play Hocevar more, because if people are scared of him, if people think he's going to race stupid, people are going to look at Crafton's track history, and he'll probably end up gaining a little bit more ownership if people weren't playing him already. Just kind of sucks, man. Because, like, if you go Nemechek, Hocevar, Corey, Infinger, I think that gives you slightly more upside than chasing like a Nemechek and Zane Smith type of line where you're having to rely on one of these bums in like the 5K range to not kill your lineup. Okay. And the fact that these guys do not have upside at all. Like, I do not see Purdy at 7-3 working. I don't see Howard at 7-2 working. Brett Holmes not working. Kaz is not going to work. Deegan's not going to work. I don't think Timmy Hill's going to work because he has to do a lot here. I have Timmy Hill for 25 points, not even close to his price range. Caden, I don't believe Caden's going to work at that point. Parsons is the first driver that we kind of get to that has any chance of working here, and Parsons has been incredibly slow in practice. When we look at Parsons' laps and what he did here, Parsons ran 13 laps, but he is abysmal. Actually, my bad. I'm looking at Hocevar. Parsons ran 2 laps because he was named to actually qualify somewhat decently here. Those 2 laps put him at 28th on the averages when we're looking at people on their best lap times. Now, granted, like if we're looking at everybody's laps, that puts Parsons at 6th best. But when we actually compare him with other laps, what the hell? When we look at his other laps compared to everybody else, he's around 28th fastest. And so I don't see. Also, this is boring. Tell me, I don't know. How much time have we got now? This locks in an hour and 7 minutes. I want to try and get off with probably like 20 minutes to goof around with my Truck Series line. Anyway, so Parsons here at $6,000, I don't think that is going to be very viable. Okay, I don't want to play Lawless Allen. I think he is more likely to score better than Dean Thompson, Parsons, Caden, even Chad Chastain, but still 5,500 for a guy that I have somewhere for around 26 to 27 points is a bit sketchy. We get to Perkins, who I think is going to carry quite a lot of ownership. With Perkins starting 26, I think people are going to see him projected for right at like 23 to 26 points. He only needs 25 to pay it off. And so I think we have ownership heading towards Perkins at this point. Okay. Most people are wanting to go to Dean Thompson and stuff like that. I don't want to play Nick. I don't want to play Mason. And so you can see why I'm not exactly sure where I want to go. And it's probably going to lean me to not going to Zane Smith because I don't like how that type of build goes. And so going back to Ty Majeski, Corey, Crafton, Hocevar, Enfinger, the fact that we lost Pearce, the fact that I don't want to pay up for Zane Smith because I don't like the build, it leads 2 different directions to go to. And it's either chasing 4 of those 5 guys between 18th and 23rd or chasing like a Christian Eckes. Okay. So let's really compare Eckes to these guys in the to Ty Majeski, Corey, Craft, and Hocevar and Enfinger. What does Eckes have to do here? I think when I looked at what Pearce had, Pearce has given Eckes fast laps, or he's given him hog points as well. Let's really dive in and see. Let's compare Eckes practice speeds to everybody in the back. And then once this is done, I'll actually look at chat. I'm sorry, I've kind of just been ignoring you guys for a while. So where's Eckes at? Excuse me. Eckes, 10th best on average when we look at all the laps across the board. Ran a 20 lap. Actually, my bad. Ran a 13 lap run, came back down pit road, went back out, and then ran a 6 lap run. Okay, when we look at Eckes in terms of where he is in the 5 best speeds, okay, that puts Eckes right at 5th. Okay, we got Nemechek as number 1. We got Enfinger as number 4. We got Chandler Smith as 2nd on that. And we have Crafton on 3rd on that. And so I don't think I want to go to Eckes, okay? When we look at Chandler Smith, because I did just mention he had a really, really fast car, he's at 10.7, okay? So yet again, I personally will have to rebuild my line in order to get up to Chandler Smith. I don't think I want to do that. And so for me, it leans to me not going to Chandler Smith on a build wise, because yes, Chandler Smith can score like 54 points today, but I'm giving up on somebody who's drastically cheaper in the 5K range who can score high 40s or low 50s as well. Okay. And so that's really my very long-winded TLDR. I think you need 4 of Majeski, Corey, Kraft, and Hocevar and Enfinger. That's how I would personally build my line. I will probably end up playing pool starting towards the end or starting at the rear of the field, hoping that people wreck out and stuff. And that's really the truck racing side. We'll get it to Xfinity in a minute, but let me go ahead and look here through the comments. 38 of you guys here. Thank you very much here. Personally, and I'm assuming that you guys have been here, but these comments were left a long time ago, so I'll answer them really quick. I'm not playing a Benedetto. Brandon Poole for Xfinity. I'll touch on that when I start talking about the Xfinity Series race here. And then Kay, I mean, like I said, you guys left these like 20 minutes ago, so I'm just answering them. I don't mean to come off across as like, well, Doug, hey, I just finished talking about it. You asked this before I was actually talking about it, but I think it changes the slate dramatically, and I think it makes I think it makes the slate way more chalkier and not as fun. Best cheap plays for Xfinity and FanDuel. I know for trucks, I would go with Spencer Boyd, Brennan Poole, because realistically, I think those can actually compete. Past that, it would probably be Perkins. Cheapest guy that I would probably want to play in the truck series would probably be, realistically speaking, probably Crafton. I think you need to live and die in the 8 and 9K range here. Yeah, and these guys are, the truck series is always a toss up in that it's not even like, oh, this guy is boom or bust. It's like none of these guys ever do anything, Thank you for watching, Matthew. I do appreciate it. I think Pearce can get the lead late in stage 3, depending on if we get a lot of cautions, and I'm talking like restart after restart after restart, that helps Ryan Pearce tremendously. If this race goes green, I think it's going to be very difficult for Pearce to get back up there and lead. He can lead and still not be optimal with how he's having to start here. So if we start the race and we have a wreck at like not stage 4, we have a wreck on like lap 4. Pearce is probably gone from 36th to he's probably running like 24th at that point. Okay, and if he gets another restart, he can then get into the top 15. And there's a realistic chance that it's like lap 34 and Pearce is running like 12 or something. However, at that point, he's racing to get like everybody who should be up there is up there. And it's going to be very, very difficult to pass the good trucks in this race. So I would not be shocked to see Pearce inside the top 15, like 30 laps into the race if we get some yellows. But I still don't think he's going to get those laps. I don't think he's going to get those laps led stuff. We'll see. The car has been fast, and I have not watched Cup Series qualifying because I'm doing this. I'll do that after the fact. I was watching Cup practice and stuff, and all that's updated on the Patreon sheets and stuff like that, so you can look. All right, James, what's going on here, man? I also had another guy tweet at me last week or maybe the week before saying that how dare DraftKings not have stuff up? This stuff is up all week, boys. Can anyone tell me why trucks aren't up on DFS? I don't know what you're talking about, my guy. They're on Prize Picks. They're on DraftKings. This sounds like a user error, my dude. Clutch, let's do get it. And now I feel bad for thinking I was absolutely missing a ton of comments because nobody left anything as I was talking here. Yes, Pearce scored from P1. Anyway, so that's Truck Series. Okay, let's talk about Xfinity Series here. And let me go and bring up my Xfinity Series stuff. So Xfinity, and for whatever reason, I'm not very interested in playing a ton of lines for Xfinity in this race as well, because I think the roads that you go down are all very similar. It's Noah Gregson's the best, okay? I don't see a reason to not play Noah Gragson. All right. It just, what the hell's going on here? Did I not update? What the fuck? Oh no, I did. Okay, that didn't update on my screen. Where's Gragson at? So when we look at Xfinity and we look at how these guys were approaching the race yesterday in practice and what they were talking about in qualifying, these people understand that this race is a long run race. Okay, you are not going to win this race with a short run car. So entering the race, I wanted to look at people in the long run. I didn't care what their 5-lap speed was. I did not matter. And specifically, I want to look at what they are head to head of the people that are going to be racing around them. Practice 1, or in practice, Gragson, 5-lap speed and 2-lap speed. He was a top 5 car for sure. And 15-lap speeds with the people actually running around him. Like the fact that Creed, Gibbs, and Gragson all ran 15-lap runs tells you enough, okay? Those are the guys who were actually like, hey, we're going to compete today, okay? We understood what we brought off the trailer, okay? Like Trevor Bayne could not run a long run. He was not happy with the car, had to make adjustments. That's why he qualified the fastest car, because he has a fantastic short run car that is not going to win the race. Okay, you have to make not even wholesale changes, but you're going to have to be adjusting on this car a lot when Gragson, Ty Gibbs, and Creed are already there. They're going to be, doing micro changes to help them in this race, whereas Trevor Bayne not only has to overcome, just being slower in general in the long run and not being happy with it, but then you're being left behind. Okay, so Gragson is by far the best play. I would play him. I see no reason to not play him. Creed, I see no reason to not play Sheldon Creed. Okay, personally, I have not played Sheldon Creed a ton this year. The only time I played Sheldon Creed that I can remember is the Darlington race, because Creed showed tremendous speed in practice, showed that he was incredibly comfortable in that car running the wall. And we could identify that in the past in the truck series that Creed, those highway racetracks are the ones that Creed did the best in, or did the best on. Okay. And so a lot of it led to Sheldon Creed being or leaning to him having Darlington as a fantastic play. Okay. It's a darn shame that he was 12th best at Kansas too. Okay, that was disappointing. Okay, I wish he would have been a bit faster at Kansas too. When we look at Las Vegas this past weekend, 24th best, 37th best, unfortunate, or 24th best car, finished 37th. Disappointing, but practice speed is there. I'm going to lean on this being a race where, when we look at how he was comfortable at Darlington, not because Darlington and Homestead is a 1-to-1, but because I'm looking at how the team approached that weekend and how Creed approached that weekend and how he's approaching this one here. It's very similar, and he's $8,800. Okay, I think we're going to see him. I gotta move this stuff around. I think we're going to see Creed. Sorry, just moving stuff around. I think we're going to see Creed get fast laps here. I think Creed is going to be the main contender to Gragson. Okay, I don't think it's Gibbs today, because Gibbs was struggling on the long run, and when we're here, we are absolutely splitting hairs. These guys are going to, and Gragson, as I've said before, tremendous racer on these highway racetracks. Okay, Kansas, last week at Las Vegas. Okay, he has everything there. With Gibbs, I think Gibbs will probably be running 3rd or 4th all day. He can jump up to the lead based on a pit road call, not even on pit road, because everybody's going to be taking 4 tires, but based on the speed that he gets on pit road at a restart or something. Or if we get late in the race and we have a lot of short runs, I think that would lean to Gibbs working out more, because Gragson and Creed are going to be long run plays for this race to go green. If we start getting a lot of yellows, I think that certainly helps out Gibbs more. Anyway, once we get past that, personally, I think you should play Creed and Gragson together, and I think a lot of lines are going to end up going that way. Okay, let me see. And Gragson and Creed focused on making the top work in practice. Like that is like numero uno. Okay. Jones is like, I could have ran higher, didn't want to run right there. Well, you're not going to win that race, Jones. You're not going to win this race, Jones. Okay. In practice. And in qualifying, we had a ton of teams that started in the back. And the reason that the practice times are so, they have such a huge discrepancy is because teams are running middle and the bottom, that you're just not going to run fast there. Okay. You'll be safe there. You're not going to tear your car up, but you're not going to be fast there. And so chasing lap leaders in Xfinity, I wanted to chase two guys who showed up to the track knowing that they're going to run the wall, focus on running the wall, and are going to do nothing but run the wall. And that's Creed and Gregson. Okay. So once we move on from there and we start looking at how these builds might end up playing out with Gregson and Creed in them, it kind of leans back to kind of a similar situation with the truck series, to where the amount of people that we actually have viable in this race and what they're, hold on, let me bring their points on here so I can count how many people I actually have towards value, because I'm pretty sure last night when I counted I had like 11 people for value. Let me just make sure here. And why do I focus on this stuff so much? Is because I think this dictates how you build lines tremendously. So let me do this. So when we look at value, people that I have projected for value, I have 1, 2, 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 people projected for 5X today in the Xfinity series. Okay. And part of that is due to the fact that you can't fake speed at Homestead. Okay. We can, you have a discrepancy in speed based on what line you're running, but in terms of like your actual upside and passing people is very limited to where you qualify it. Specifically here, like we're not going to have Myatt Snyder, gain a ton of positions. We're not going to have, Jeremy Clements gain a ton of positions. We're not going to have Sam Mayer. We're not going to have Riley Herbst gain a ton of positions to pay off their price tags and stuff. Okay, so the two chalk place differential plays that I can foresee people kind of going to and building towards is Alfredo and Ryan Sieg. Okay. So if we're trying to project how people are going to do and how they're going to build, we have Alfredo and we have Sieg here. And I think this is going to be a very popular build. And so this is Gregson, Alfredo, Creed, and Ryan Sieg. That leaves you $7,200 on the table to do whatever you want with. Okay. Now, for me, 1, I think a lot of people are going to play this build. 2, I don't know if Alfredo can necessarily pay off that. Okay, I got him for 38 points right now, but when we look at how Alfredo has done at this track, and maybe this will cause people to go to him more because he does that 11th and 4th place finish, but that wasn't RCR equipment. Okay, when we look at his practice speeds, it's pretty abysmal. Okay, and this is a guy who, find it. I did all this stuff last night, so I apologize if I'm like rambling on and struggling to find people. So when we look at Alfredo, like the man ran 12 laps. Okay, he didn't go in the pits. He didn't like make wholesale changes. Alfredo arrived off the trailer this slow. I mean, Alfredo is slow. I mean, this is fucking rough, man. His top 5 fastest laps are 32nd in the entire field. Okay, like this car they need absolute wholesale changes here. So when we look at the ownership that is going to migrate to Anthony Alfredo, and the fact that I would have major concerns that he gets trapped a lap down early and ends up running around 27th to 25th all day, I mean, that is very, very concerning. Okay. I would argue that Sieg is probably the better play between these two. Okay. So if I had to play one, I'd probably do Ryan Sieg. But personally, for me, Alfredo, I'm not going to play. I have major concerns about Alfredo today. If he beats me, so be it. All right, but those are the things I'm looking at. And Alfredo hasn't even been that good on intermediate tracks this year in general. Okay, like his upside is like a 16th place finish. Okay, so if people want to chase Alfredo that much, go right ahead. When we're looking at the people who are close to 5x and close to hitting value, we're seeing a lot of those guys as people starting in the teens who can move up, who can get fast laps, who can kind of scrape off a good finish here or there. When we look at last week, somebody that I wanted to play last week and I didn't play him, and it actually worked out by not playing him, was Landon Castle. And so Castle got absolutely screwed late in that race by a stupid call, by a stupid. Where have we seen that before? A colleague making a terrible call late in the race that just fucks one of their drivers over. So they kept Castle out on old tires late in that race. Okay. When we look back, I think of the second last restart, even maybe possibly even the last one, Castle's starting like fourth or third, but the man's on old tires. Like if he wasn't there on old tires and he actually had new tires, I think Castle could have come away with like a 7th place finish. Okay, it was very disappointing to see Castle, show up and just finish 11th. I think Castle should have finished better. So I think this is a very similar situation to last weekend. I'm hoping colleague doesn't completely screw him over late in the race, and so I would actually like to play Landon Castle today. I think he's worth getting to. And the reason is because a lot of the people in the 7K range, I don't see paying off. Okay, a lot of people in 6K range, I don't see paying off. Okay, we might want to look at Timmy Hill. But as I said, even on Thursday, MBM is putting a lot of money and effort towards this race for whatever reason. I can't figure it out. I don't know what the reason is. But when you bring good cars on a track that people, you just can't fake speed on, you get JJ qualifying 14th, you get Timmy Hill qualifying 22nd, because that's where those cars should fit in. Leaves no upside for daily fantasy. Okay, so it removes Timmy Hill from the 5K range of working out. It removes JJ Yaley from working out. Okay, so kind of going back to that question with Brendan Poole, same thing here. Brendan Poole's a good driver. He knows what he's doing. He qualified 24th. That's where Poole should finish, and so for me in Xfinity, I kind of want to pay up for like 3 guys. Like if this is a race where the only people kind of paying off are really like the 8K range and like the 10 and 11K guys, I kind of just want to try and fit as many of those people into my lines as possible and then just pay down and hope that we get some wrecks and hope that we get some people to run to issues and can gain place differential points from our value guys through adversity and stuff. And so I think the main contender for that is David Starr at 54. He blew his tire last time and cost us all a ton of money by taking out Gregson, but he has experience here. The car is fucking slow, but he has experience here. Okay. Matt Mills, I think he's in play. Near min salary, doesn't even have to do anything. Okay. Just survive. Julia, maybe people overreact to Haley Deegan last weekend. I still can't believe that everybody's acting like, wow, she's on fire now. Deegan has always known how to drive. You give her good equipment, she's going to be fine. You give her good equipment in a field of scrubs at Xfinity, of course she's going to do well. Of course she's going to be optimal. I have no idea why people didn't play her. But I do not believe Julia is in the same boat. I don't believe that she's an identical play. Julia is really fucking slow. So I don't think she works. I don't think BJ works. I don't think Patrick works, and so when we start looking back up to like who can scrape off fast laps, who can scrape off laps led and stuff. And I mentioned that Ty Gibbs on a short run, that's a race that I see him kind of working on. If I think Gibbs is going to run third and second all day, those are typically the people who are getting the fast laps in Xfinity. In the Cup Series, it's much more spread out. But I think there's a real nice approach of playing the guys who are going to run 1, 2, 3 all day. And that is Gregson, Gibbs, and Creed. So I think that's how I'm probably going to approach the Xfinity Series race and not really try and chase Bain, not really try and chase Josh Berry or AJ. If I wasn't going to do that, I might end up having ownership to like Brandon Jones or like, some Riley Herbst and stuff. But there's just not a lot of people in this race that I think are going to pay off their salary. I don't think Alfredo's good chalk in this race. And that's kind of where I want to go in this race. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Let me see. I don't know what the last word on this is. Let me see. I'm talking. I take it you mean the Max guy in the Truck Series. He was fantastic at Nashville, but man, it's such a tough racetrack. It's such a tough track for these guys, and I really want to try and get 4 of those main place differential plays there. Backmarker is the same as trash. I think you have the mix and match. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just that. It's pretty much best point per dollar play here. And specifically, like I have so many people projecting the 20s for Xfinity. It's not even funny. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15. My bad, that's trucks. Oops. Let me look at Xfinity. I'm pretty sure it's kind of the same way. In Xfinity, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 people projected in 20s for Xfinity as well. So it really is mix and match in here. Between these two, I would get to Hill. I would play Hill over Brandon Jones if you can get to him. Between those two, direct head-to-head, I'd probably play Hill. Yeah, and I mean that's the only thing I can think of. But man, it's a bit late for that, man. You got 3 races left. I mean, it's intermediate track, so it's easier to perform better here when you get good equipment. But I just figured they would have been doing that before. Maybe it was the West Coast. Also, secondly, kind of stupid that we do a West Coast swing at the beginning of the year, but we don't do it later in the season. Like, why are we going from Las Vegas to Homestead back to Phoenix? Like, what the fuck is that? That makes no sense, man. Whatever. But yeah, it's like this is like way later in the season. That's why, like, I don't know. I honestly cannot. I don't know the real reason why they're attacking this race so strongly. For real life, I mean, it's good. I want MBM to do well. But for fantasy, it doesn't really work for us here. So that's unfortunate. And see, man, I don't like this. I like showing off my shirts and stuff. I couldn't do it at the old apartment just because I was too close, and now like my camera is too zoomed in, so I can't even show off my stupid Breaking Bad shirt. But yeah, so the 40 of you guys here who sat here and watched it and let me talk and stuff, I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for the 13 thumbs up. Thank you for supporting me, supporting Pearce, and watching our stuff this entire year and being here for each and every live show. I do appreciate it. Okay. I'm going to give you guys your 30 minutes to mess around with the Truck Series stuff, mess around with the Xfinity Series stuff, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'll be live tomorrow morning. Probably to the same 40 people, but I will be live, man. I love talking NASCAR. I love talking this stuff. I love talking line construction and just everything here. So thank you guys very much for being here, supporting me, and best of luck today. Hopefully it all works out, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions, message me in Discord or just shoot me a tweet on Twitter, and I will answer you there. So I'll talk to you guys later.